My name is Steve Peters, and I'm the founder of baseconsulting.co, an end-to-end supply chain management solutions provider based in the US.
Yeah, this is Paul Weedman, the owner of Victure Group. Our business is to be the eyes and ears of our customers, helping the supply chain in China.
Hey, Paul, how's it going?
Oh, pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah.
You're traveling now, right?
Yeah.
In
Transferring
Dubai.
in different time zones, but getting recovered by napping for 10 minutes. It makes me very well.
The classic power nap.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's great. How was Indonesia?
It's a very good trip. First time to be in Indonesia. Lots of new things to learn. In fact, I made a stupid mistake of asking too many questions about religion. I'm always curious about everything, but
right.
I realized it was bad. I can feel it. And later asked someone about why is this, why is that, and I got the answer. People are not happy with me asking such questions, unfortunately.
Right.
But
you
it's a
made it
learning
out.
process.
But you made it out safe.
Oh yeah, it is safe, but it's not good to make people unhappy, right?
Yeah.
However, again, it's a learning process. When you go to a different environment, you see the response from the people. And I'm not going to make the same stupid mistake again next time when I go to Indonesia.
Well, we've talked about this quite a bit. Like different cultures have different ways of doing business. Some like to talk about, politics and religion. Some don't really want to, right?
Yeah. Even if I've been traveling a lot in the world, actually I made another mistake this time when I'm traveling in Dubai. I didn't know today's their national holiday.
Oh.
Yeah. And I made a couple appointments for today. Today's Monday. I was thinking, okay, Monday is a working day. It's a good time to make appointment. And I did have an appointment, but no one even told me that they have a national holiday today.
And they still showed up.
Yes. And the funny thing, the country just advised the citizens a couple of days before that this is a national holiday for everybody.
Right. Yeah.
So
it's hard to keep up. It's hard to keep up with all the holidays, all over the world, different times, different places,
Yeah. But when we go to a different place, we really have to do as the Romans do. That's very important to get into the local culture and avoid unnecessary conflict.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in business,
Yeah.
So, I think we were chatting a bit about a particular topic about e-commerce sellers and, the issues, particularly on Amazon when they want to launch multiple products. It introduces a lot of uncertainty in identifying the top selling item.
Mm-hmm.
Even with tools like Helium 10, a seller can't really know exactly how well a product will do, especially if it's a new product. There's no data at all. And factories often have, they always have a minimum order quantity, which means that the seller has to make a significant investment before knowing whether or not it will sell. So having to import the entire product range into the US, it's a considerable investment, not to mention the shipping costs and the potential taxes, things like that. And I think you're talking with somebody recently who's in this situation, kind of looking for a solution, before committing this pretty big financial kind of commitment. And I know that I've talked to a few companies in China that are setting up drop shipping services for Amazon sellers to kind of ship in small bulk, and then helping them store the items. And be interesting to talk about that. Do you want to share a bit about that talk you had with that seller?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, my customer, which is one of my old friends as well, he feels that he's not really making profit or even losing money by bringing in all the product to the United States, because obviously most of the good suppliers, good manufacturers, they have certain MOQ, the minimum order quantity, in order to buy directly from the manufacturers and control quality in the proper way. So imagine you have to bring all the product and you have maybe 5 or 6 items from different manufacturers, which is a lot of cost of for international shipping, for the custom duties, particularly in the United States. Most of the commodities have 25% import tax. Without knowing which item is going to sell and to sell the best, there is always a 20-80 rules for most of the items, or even most of the business. Then eventually, probably you have 4 out of 5 items which are not going to sell very well or very slowly. Then you bring all of them into your warehouse in the United States or in another country, which costs you a lot of money on international shipping and the import tax. So instead of shipping all of them, I was suggesting him to just ship maybe half of the whole shipment, or just 1/3,
right,
for each item, and put them together into the first shipment. According to the situation, they can plan for the rest of all the ordered items. And another situation is sometimes when you start selling the product, you may want to try different ways of selling it.
Different packaging, inserts, things like that.
Yeah, instead of putting, for example, 5 items in the package, you want to get them into 10 items,
right,
in the same box, which may sell even well. You have to adjust your sales strategy. And in that case, it would make more sense to repack or relabel the product in China, considering the lower labor cost. Here, the salary in China is something like 20 or 30% of that of the United States or in Europe, right?
Yeah.
And the warehousing fee is generally lower, especially when you compare with Amazon. They always have a penalty in probably like 3 to 6 months if your product doesn't sell well. They charge you like double cost.
Right.
Because they want to give the space to a better selling product.
Right. And depending on the product, it can also incur additional warehousing fees from Amazon, depending on the size and the weight and all kinds of things. And they're constantly changing these rules. So if your products are stuck in the US, it could be a huge problem. right?
Yeah, yeah. So that's definitely frustrating for most of the local e-commerce sellers. And then to build a fulfillment center in China uh, uh, or next to the manufacturers will definitely help to solve, if not all, part of the problems and of uncertainty of business and optimize the cash flows, etc. So I think another typical situation for using a local fulfillment center is China has already had very good logistic system
Mm-hmm.
from China to the whole world. When we talk about cross-border e-commerce business, in a lot of cases, you're not only selling to one country, but globally. So it makes a lot of sense to send the goods directly from China to the customers in various countries.
Right. And the original drop shipping model was to set up something on Shopify, set it up with AliExpress, and they would just ship it directly for you. Right. And it
Yeah,
would get there 21 days later or whatever. And super cheap products. And it worked for about a year and a half.
yeah,
But what we're talking about is more kind of splitting up the order to send parts of it to test out on Amazon. So you're not stuck with all this inventory that you have to deal
right,
with at a higher cost. Right.
right, right.
So like what kind of tips would you recommend if somebody's talking to a supplier and maybe they don't have this kind of fulfillment service set up, but they have a pretty good relationship with them and they're able to kind of negotiate some minimum order quantities. Like what would be kind of some tips to get them to help you with this fulfillment service? Because if it's just one product or maybe even a few products, but they're all being supplied by one supplier, sometimes the supplier is kind of willing to help because they're interested in the business. They want to kind of provide a solution. They might not be professional fulfillment operators, but they're able to, cut the shipment up, help you ship it, and store it for you, right?
Yes, there is always a chance. You just need to find the right way to communicate. Either is directly with the manufacturers or finding another fulfillment partner to work together. But most probably, as a buyer, you will have to work with an independent seller or independent fulfilling partner. One is most professional manufacturers, they don't want to get into such a service.
Right.
That's not the main business. Two, you may not wanting want your market information to be shared with manufacturer, right? So a couple of points to take into consideration when finding fulfilling partner next to the manufacturing center. One, I think it's about location. China is a massive country. It does not necessarily mean every city is suitable for fulfilling.
Right.
Of course, there are lots of international cities like Shenzhen, Shanghai, or Guangzhou, which already have a very good international logistics systems, airport, seaport. But if you talk about the tier 2 or tier 3 cities, they're used to transfer the goods to the large ones and then get to the international market. So location is always very important to consider when we talk about fulfillment. I think the second thing is we have to bear in mind that you can't expect to ship the goods within 1 or 2 days.
Right.
A lot of people have no idea. They think it's just like a domestic shipment, but
Right.
international shipping is international shipping. There are certain processes to go through for the customs clearing, for example, for each country. So it takes time.
Right. So, like, in addition to, for the client you were talking to, he's looking for a solution. In addition to kind of like, finding another, a 3PL provider, fulfillment center to help him in China to, make changes to the product packaging or add inserts, that kind of thing. Are there any other kind of tips to help mitigate the risks involved? Some of these drop shipping services are fairly new companies, that have been kind of popping up to fill this demand. And they don't have like a ton of reviews, or maybe they're not real reviews. Is there anything else that you can suggest in kind of improving the odds that they're going to store your products for you, things like that? For example, maybe they're, typically it's like on a monthly contract or something like that, and you pay a monthly fee for them to handle and, store all this, your products. But in the event that, for example, you don't make that monthly payment because maybe you have an issue with their fulfillment or something, and then maybe they hold on to the products, that could be kind of a concern as an overseas seller, like somebody in the US selling on Amazon using this service. Because from time to time that happens on Alibaba with suppliers, withholding things until maybe something, the situation is resolved. Sometimes like, you get a package, you get a shipment, and there's a large percentage of products missing or broken. And so then usually the buyer will withhold payment, and there's this situation that arises. I would imagine this would be a kind of a big concern for somebody who's selling on Amazon and they're using the service. You're so far away. There's not much you can do. You're not probably going to go to China and resolve this. And so it's a similar situation to Alibaba or, that kind of thing, as opposed to, say, having it in a fulfillment center in the US. It's a higher cost. There's a higher risk, but, if you needed to sue them, you could, or if you need to visit them, you could. So.
Yeah, absolutely. For any business, security is the first thing to consider, and that is exactly one of the reasons why when you're asking about having the factory or manufacturer do the fulfillment job for you or the buyer. I don't really suggest to do that because a real a third-party fulfillment as a business, they have more concerns about their own business,
right,
and to take more responsibility. The second point that you mentioned, I think, is more about communication, for transparency and for understanding in between yourself and the fulfillment partner is really very, very important. To give an example for ourselves, when we start doing a business, of course, there are a lot of things that we have to learn. We'll make mistakes, but we'll always have our customers' demand as a first priority. Maybe for the first deal, we are not really making money. We're even losing money, but we'll keep a very transparent communication with our client to tell them, okay, this is what we do, this is where the costs are, and yes, we agreed to do this to get things done, but we're not making money. Why? Right? Then we may just create a model for both our customers and ourselves to be acceptable. And that's to be funny. It's I told you that for even Victure's whole list of business, everything is created from zero by myself. I even didn't know whether or not this service item is workable.
Right.
Then I just make it, no matter whether or not I'm going to make money. But then I just optimize it, tune it time after time, and then get to the best way of service.
You listen to your clients, and then you customized your approach based on what they were telling you, right? Pretty much.
Exactly. This type of communication and information transparency is so important when communicating with any fulfilling partners.
Yeah, I mean, I think I asked that because a lot of sellers that I talk to, they're very cost sensitive, and so although they would understand that I do want to just have a smaller inventory to test out how well sales go. Once they look at, say, the pricing for the monthly fee or the yearly contract with one of these fulfillment centers, they'll often try to work something out with the supplier. That's very common. Or they'll, reach out to their friend that they met at a trade show in China that can hook them up with, you know what I mean? And because they're entrepreneurs, as we all, the hurdle that we all have to face as entrepreneurs is that we can't do everything ourselves. We can't figure out everything ourselves. So although it makes the most sense to hire a Chinese fulfillment center that's professional, and once you look at the fees, it's still like, there's going to be a lot of people, I think, that will try to kind of work it out themselves. I'm dealing with a client right now that has a similar situation where the supplier is kind of holding them hostage because they're helping them with their fulfillment, and they're testing things out. And so, they've reached out to kind of assist with this, but it's kind of a little bit too late because they're holding the inventory. They worked out some kind of special deal, as is pretty common, not dealing directly with, say, a professional fulfillment center because of the costs incurred. They think they can save money by kind of having a friend help them out that's maybe not professional, or just the supplier directly.
Never try to work with a friend. There is no friend.
It's very common,
business, right?
It's very common, though.
Don't be greedy and try to take the advantage of someone else, and vice versa. We were talking about the communications. We'll talk about the transparency during the cooperation. There are another thing, I think, when setting up a fulfillment center in another country, particularly like in China. You got to understand the festivals and the holidays, like the Chinese New Year holiday,
right?
Which is right after the Christmas in the Western world, which means that will be a peak season for international shipping, particularly in the month of like November, December, January. Because this time it's really very busy for most of the logistic companies. You got to plan everything in advance in the proper way.
You have to plan. Every year you have to plan very well. And sometimes you come up with a project in the summer, goes into the fall, Christmas,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden these logistics companies can't do anything.
Yeah.
There's no
And the
jumping
Chinese
the
New
queue.
Year, yeah, it's according to the lunar calendar, not
Right.
uh,
So it
the solar
changes.
one.
Yeah.
It changes every year.
Right. Right.
Uh,
It's so I would say in summary, you want to hire professionals to do each part. And so when you're creating your business plan, or even if you've been doing business on Amazon for a couple of years and you don't have a business plan, you should consider the costs incurred by these kind of things and build that in, right? And
yeah,
not rely on, like the supplier to help you fulfill or do all this extra stuff, right? Because that's not
yeah,
what they're professional in.
yeah, yeah. And to give another example, which very commonly happening in logistics is lots of companies, even some of the suppliers, even don't know what is the hazardous goods. Right? It's defined by the shipping companies. For example, a battery-contained product is taken as a hazardous good. Then they could take you a lot of documented procedures to ship the product, or sometimes the product which is containing a magnet or liquid or gas contained product, right? And in again, for example, the heavy duty product, like the stones, right? It's heavy. It makes no sense to fulfill from China. It should get it done locally. It makes more sense for the efficiency of delivery to meet the customer demands.
Right, exactly. Great. Well, thanks for sharing, and I will talk to you next week.
Yeah, it's always good to talk to you.